Good morning, yogis. Welcome to your practice. This is Stephen from YogaWorks, and today we're going to be doing a practice that is out of the ordinary. In these extraordinary times, in a global pandemic, we have two choices basically. We can continue as we did before and just hope for the best and pretty much just suffer through it, or we can really show up and do extraordinary things in extraordinary times. This might be building up a new skill or starting a new business or spending more time with the kids or cooking more at home or changing the way you work or exercise or move. All of these are fine. There's unlimited possibilities, of course. And yoga is a really good way to learn some of these skills in a safe space on our yoga mat. Because what we'll be doing, or what we're always doing actually, we're putting our body into some unusual, uncommon positions. And from there, we learn, hold on, I can't do this yet. Or I'm missing a little bit of strength, a little bit of mobility here and there. And we start to discover what is possible. And gradually, we increase those possibilities, that potential that we all have in our body and mind. So today, I want to exaggerate that uncommon element a little bit, the extraordinary poses. And I've chosen a whole lot of poses and transitions that are a little bit uncommon, a little bit unusual, maybe strange, maybe you've never done some of them. They're a little bit exotic. So it's a bit of a different class than what I usually teach. Maybe a bit more hatha style. We'll be going from one pose to the other, a little bit less in a kind of vinyasa flow setting. And through this, we're introducing this element of the unknown and maybe the uncomfortable a little bit. And we're seeing how we can react to this. Some of these are slightly challenging, but if you can't do the full version, I'll of course include some variations that everybody will be able to do. So enjoy and let's see how it goes. I'll move back to the mat so you can see more. I'll turn sideways and we'll start in Dandasana, the staff pose, which is seated, almost like we're going to do forward fold, but we're not. We're going to stay here. This is kind of like the preparation for all the sitting poses in yoga. So what we're doing here, the legs are firmly grounded. I'm engaging the quads here to straighten the knees. I'm digging the heels down into the mat a little bit, and I'm pulling the toes towards the shins. And in the upper body, I like to press the hands next to the hips somewhere. For some people, the proportions are different, so you might actually find your hand doesn't touch all the way down. You can go fingertips in that case. And then if you can, push the hands down. Use that to lengthen the spine straight up. And then lean the head back ever so slightly and draw the belly a little bit back to the spine. So you should feel quite active and engaged in this pose. And you might also feel a little bit impatient because this is often the starting point for another forward fold or another pose. But today we're just going to hold the Dandasana, the staff pose, for a little bit longer. It's really great for quad strength, length in the back body without overdoing things. And then also we take out the element of, it's very obvious some people have tighter hamstrings and some people are very open. So this doesn't come into play so much here. So another moment, lifting the chest up, the whole spine is lengthening up, the belly is drawing a little bit back. Nice. Then I'll turn forwards, bend the right knee and place the heel close to your hips, but leave a bit of space between the straight leg and the bent one. And then place the left hand behind you and start to reach the right hand forward. So this is a version of Marichyasana. Marichi is a famous sage in the yoga tradition. And again, it has a couple of options. But this is the starting point that definitely everybody can do. You might be more upright, it's fun, but see if you can lengthen the spine a little bit forward. You can rest this hand down. And then the next option is to introduce a half bind, which is with the right arm, you circle around this right shin, and you could just stay here. This is fine. Or for some of you, it might be possible to take that back hand, reach around your lower back And with a bit of luck, find the other hand behind you. This may not be possible. You can always use a strap to get this done, or just have your hands loose. It's totally fine. You won't get less benefits out of the pose, of course. It's just going to be your mind that's going to be a little bit unhappy about this. But this is not our main focus. So I'm leaning the chest a bit forward. Sometimes it feels like you're not going very far in this pose, especially if you're not hyper flexible. But it has a lot of benefits. And I release the hands if you're holding them, and straighten the right leg. Bend the left knee, pull it close to the hip. Remember, about a fist distance between the foot and the straight leg here. And then the setup is right hand, I like it a little bit behind me. The left arm goes inside the top knee, and then just reach a bit forward. Couple of breaths here just to explore the pose, to see what's possible. It's early on in our practice, so you might also feel not very warm yet, which is okay. Just don't go that far in. We're keeping the right leg quite straight and active. And then maybe you want to try the half bind, circle left arm around the left shin. You can keep this, or you can try and see if the right hand reaches around. If maybe you find that left hand behind the back somewhere. Couple of breaths here. I'm doing my best to lengthen the chest forward and to ground down to the left foot, the right leg, and both sit bones. Couple of breaths. Exploring the pose. Maybe you haven't done this one a lot, or maybe never. So just a new space that you can explore without having any judgments. I can't do this, or I'll never be able to. That would not be very helpful. And then release that. Now, next pose is a seated twist, but not the standard one that you might think of when you hear seated twist. So we'll start off like this in, I think it's called deer pose or stag pose, where the left knee and the right foot are close together, and then lift the chest up. This already in itself might be quite a hip exercise. This right leg is an external rotation. The left leg needs to rotate internally, which might be not what you're used to in your seated positions. And then we're going to introduce a twist. So we're turning over the right leg, the right knee, and I like to have the left hand over the right knee, lengthen the chest up, and turn to the side of it. You can use that right hand just to prop you up and be as tall as possible. Couple of breaths here, exploring this twist. This is called Bharadvajasana. I don't know if there's an English name for it. I have no idea what the translation is. And there's a couple of other options of this pose, but they would involve putting that right foot into half lotus here, and then maybe reaching back and doing a bind. But it's too early in our practice, and I think it wouldn't be beneficial to try something now. But of course, if you wake up in full lotus without any problem or warm up, then you can do that one. And then slowly release, unwind, undo it, and move the legs to the opposite side. So it's going to be left foot close to right knee. You can pull this right heel closer to your buttock, and then lift the chest up. It's good by starting to just feel your base and ground down. And feel the length in the spine rising up from the base. If the base is not stable, there won't be any length in the spine, and it's going to affect your twist as well. So we need to start with the grounding, the foundation always. And then turn to the left any amount until you feel, oh, this is interesting, I can stay with this. And maybe right hand can go over left knee, and you can use that to turn yourself to the side a little bit more. And then lengthen the spine up. You might need to lean the head back. It tends to sometimes hang forward. And just remember that the neck, and by extension actually the head on top of the neck is part of that spinal column. Couple of breaths, just see where you are. Maybe notice the difference between twisting to the right and twisting left. Sometimes there's quite a difference between the two. Another breath or so, and then on the exhale, as you relax, unwind and come into a very long Baddha Konasana, so where the soles of the feet together, instead of being really close to the body, we're sliding the feet further away, or you can wiggle your hips back a little bit. And then as you here, fold forward with the upper body and thread the arms under the knees or the legs and just rest here. This is a very mild version of Kurmasana, the tortoise or turtle, I'm not sure. I think it's tortoise. And just use this pose to fold into, turn your attention inwards. And it's a really nice stretch for the lower back as well, so you might feel that. And then this is our preparation for another pose, a fun little balancing pose. So for this, we're going to come up, move the legs a little bit closer, and then you can push off with your hands to lift your feet, keep the insides of the feet touching, and then your hands are still under your knees. Same pose as we did before, but now we're balancing on the hips. Try and lift the chest, and just notice that your core is active to keep you balanced here. And if you want, you can do a fancy hand signal, a mudra, just to look extra yogic this morning. Now, this is just, of course, decoration, but it might be fun. Nice. If you could stay here, or if for a moment you want to stretch more into inner thighs, you can hold your toes and do, it's kind of like a similar pose, but now you're holding the legs and kicking them out into your hands. It requires a bit more flexibility, space, the hamstrings, the inner thighs, but it could be a fun pose that we don't do a lot. Now start cross your legs and see if you can stand up without holding or without using your hands. That's a good exercise to see how's your hip mobility, how's your body doing this morning. If that didn't work, don't worry about it at all. You'll be fine. So we're doing sun salutations, but I've changed them around. I'm going to teach you a type of sun salutation from the Shivananda yoga tradition, which I really like because it has a lot of spinal movements, backwards, forward bends, and it just has a nice flow to it. Nice. For this one, usually the feet are together. And on the inhale, we'll lift the arms and do a little back bend, just a tiny bit. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Inhale, step the right foot back, lower the right knee, bend the left knee a lot. So come into spinal extension, you're looking up. And then exhale, step to downward facing dog. So quite different than the normal sun salute you might be used to in vinyasa or Ashtanga yoga. Inhale, shift forward to plank. Nice. Now lower the knees. We'll do it slowly the first time, just to get used to it. Now arch your back and start to look forward. Bend your elbows slowly. Lower the chin and the chest to the ground at the same time. Knees, chest, and chin. Keep lifting the front of the shoulders away from the mat. And then here, just slide through into a little cobra pose. Exhale, make your way into downward facing dog. Inhale, step right foot forward, left knee down. Stay on fingertips. Bend the right knee more and look up.
Exhale, forward fold, stand at the top of the mat. Inhale, rise, little back bend at the top. Exhale, hands to heart. So that's half around. We'll do the other side now. Inhale, lift the arms, lean the thumbs a little bit back. Exhale, forward fold, hinge from your hips. Inhale, skip flat back, straight to left foot back, left knee down, and lift the chest up and forward. Exhale, hands down, downward facing dog. Good. Inhale, shift forward to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin. Arch your back and land slowly with the chin and chest, same time. Inhale, slide through in cobra, broaden the chest. Exhale, push the mat away, downward facing dog. Inhale, step left foot forward, right knee down, and arch your back. Exhale, step forward, forward fold, top of the mat. Inhale, lift the arms and arch back. Exhale, hands to heart. One more round, nice and slow. Inhale, open the front body, standing back bend. Exhale, forward fold, fold in two. Inhale, right foot back, right knee down, and lunge into it. Exhale, hands down, down dog. Inhale, shift forward plank. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin. Keep the shoulders lifted away from the mat. Inhale, slide through cobra pose. Maybe go a little bit higher if you have space. Exhale to downward facing dog. Inhale, right foot forward, left knee down. Bend the right knee a lot. Exhale, step forward and Uttanasana. Inhale, standing back bend, lift all the way up, lengthen the front body. Exhale, hands come to the heart. Half around left, and we'll change it up. Inhale, stretch up and lean back. Exhale, fold forward, use your belly. Inhale, left foot back, left knee down, and chest forward and up. Exhale, downward facing. Inhale, forward to plank. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin. Create a good back bend here. Inhale, another back bend, cobra pose. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, left foot forward, the right knee down. Exhale, step forward and Uttanasana. Inhale, rise. You go all the way up, maybe lean a bit back. Exhale, hands to heart center. Take a breath. See how you feel. Different kind of sun salutation with a lot of alternations between forward fold, backward bend, forward fold, backward bend. Really amazing to move the spine in this way. Inhale, lift the arms. You can still do a little back bend. Exhale, forward fold and fold over the legs. This time, flat back. Inhale to lengthen the heart forward. Hold flat back for a little bit longer, but reach your hands back and stretch the heart forward. If it's too much on the hamstring, just bend the knees slightly. But if you can, lengthen the hips back and the chest forward. Another pose we often rush through. We don't often hold a lot or spend a lot of time here. It's more like a transition pose, but actually I find it really great to have a strong feeling in the hamstrings as we are lengthening them. Also engages all the muscles along the lower back, along the spine, which is great to prepare for back bends later. And then exhale, forward fold again. Nice. From here, step back to plank. Inhale in plank pose. Exhale, knees, chest, and chin. Nice. Stay here for a little bit longer and lift the shoulders away from the mat and down your back. Arch your back as much as possible. And then slowly lower down. Come into Sphinx pose. So elbows under the shoulders. And then press the hands onto the mat a little bit. If the elbows are a little bit forward from the shoulders, there's no problem. But try not to lean the shoulders forward of your elbows. That's not so ideal. Nice. So press forearms down, pull the hands a little bit towards you, and tuck the toes under. Now come into dolphin plank, forearm plank. Keep pressing the mat away with your elbows, and then tilt the tailbone back. So instead of hollowing the lower back and sticking your bum up, do the opposite, lengthen tailbone back, pull the abdominals up, and come into this version of plank. And then walk the feet closer towards your hands for dolphin pose. The closer you walk, the harder it's going to get. There's going to be more weight in the arms and the shoulders. So you could choose the intensity a little bit, but see if you can really come into down dog with the rest of the body, except the elbows are down. Lift the hips up. Pull the thighs towards your chest and the chest towards your thighs. Another pose we often either rush through or we don't do a lot. This dolphin pose. Take another breath or so. Exhale. Walk the toes back to forearm plank. Inhale here. Exhale, lower the hips down. We're back in Sphinx. Couple of breaths here. Enjoy the supported back bend. It's still a good back bend, but it doesn't require too much muscular effort to hold yourself up. And then slowly release that. Press your hands. Inhale, cobra pose. Broaden the chest forward. Exhale, make your way to down dog. So you'll notice I'm skipping or changing the chaturanga upward facing dog. I think we do enough of that in normal flows and classes. I'm adding a little bit more of some unusual elements that might be even a bit of a missing link in your practice. And then start to walk your feet forward. Slowly roll up to standing. We'll do some maybe unusual hip and torso rotating poses. I'll do it with you so you know what to do. Left foot, press it down. Right foot lifted a little bit off the mat. And then just standing tall here. Balancing one foot, turn your torso to the side and to the other side. Just do that a few times and start to feel how does your spine and the shoulders relate to the hips and your balance standing on one leg. Often we have a bit of more trouble standing on the left leg than on the right for most of us. Now we'll change that a little bit. Still standing on the left leg, turn the right toes, the whole right leg actually externally. So from the hip and then the whole leg, including the foot, turns to the side. And turn your torso the opposite way. So foot and leg turns out to the right, torso to the left. And then let's change that, turn the leg internally and turn your torso to the opposite side, to the right. Usually these are coupled. If we turn the leg out, then usually our torso is going to go the same direction. But now we're trying to uncouple that. External rotation, leg, turn torso left. Internal rotation, leg, turn the torso right. And then let's place it down. Ooh,
That's quite some action deep inside those hips, also for the standing leg, to keep ourselves balanced, of course. If your balance is a bit of a problem today, then just feel free to hold on to something. I should probably have said this earlier on. So stand on the right leg, lift the left leg. And just to warm up, turn the shoulders and the torso right and left a few times. If you fall out, no big deal. Just come back. One more time. And again, can you feel how the torso and the shoulders rotate and relate to the hips, the pelvic structure? Nice. Turn the left leg externally, the whole left leg from your hip, not just the foot. And then turn the torso away from it, so to the right. And then change that. Internal rotation, left leg, torso left. External rotation, left leg, torso right. One more. Internal rotation, left leg, torso left. And release. Just feel deep inside this hip joint what kind of activation this causes. Really amazing. Place your feet hip distance apart. Bend the knees a good amount. And we're going to slide the whole left hand under the left foot. So lift the front of the left foot up. Slide the hand all the way under the foot so that your toes are in the wrist crease. And then do the same with the right hand under the right foot, so the palms are facing up. And what I'm doing here, I'm pressing the toes down, and if I have some space left, I can straighten my knees a little bit. This may not happen for everyone, don't worry about it. And I can even bend the elbows a little bit back towards my shins, so instead of out, go back. And this amazing wrist stretch for the forearms and the top of your wrist. And if you're feeling adventurous, you can even lean a little bit more forward so that maybe your hips, your heels are starting to hover above the mat. I just need to warn you that if you go too far, you will fall on your face. There's nothing to catch you here. So just make sure you're okay with that before you start. All right, release that. Now, just for a moment, turn the hands around. So I'm turning the wrist forward and the fingers back. Lift the foot again. Push the toes all the way at the back of the wrist here. And do the same with the right hand under the right foot. Press the toes down into your wrist crease, the other side now. Maybe straighten knees. Maybe bend the elbows a bit back towards your shins. Just do a version of the pose that works for you. This is called Padahastasana. Pada is feet, hasta is hands. Asana, you know, that's the pose or the seat, actually, the literal translation. We're sitting in a shape. So hand under feet, hand under feet pose. And then slowly release. And roll up to standing, nice. Inhale, lift the arms. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, step back to down dog. Nice. Inhale, lift the right leg high. Bend the right knee and bring the right knee towards your left elbow. So we're shifting forward to plank. And then hold this, but extend the right leg off to the left. If you have space, you can lift that right leg a little bit higher, or just go somewhere in the middle. Just try not to be all the way back here, unless if that's what's available, then that's still good. Nice. Turn the chest towards your hands and pull the right hip back in space. This is going to really lengthen the outer right hip, your IT band area, so between the hip and the knee on the right here. And you can stay in this pose. This is great to hang out a little bit longer. Or you can turn the left heel down
And start to lift the right arm up so it's fallen triangle pose. Push the mat away with everything that's touching down. And then lower the left hand down. We're going straight to wild thing. So swing the right leg over the left. And sometimes I like to come down with the hips first and then bridge up from there, pressing the left hand down, the left foot, the right foot, and reaching up and over with the top arm. You could also have the hand behind the back of the head if that feels good. And then downward facing dog. And do it. Take a breath to recover. And when you're ready, lift the left leg high. Bring the left knee towards your right elbow. Shift forward to plank, so shoulders over wrists. Extend the left leg off to the right. And instead of lifting immediately, just turn the chest down, look down at your hands, and then pull the left hip back. It's not going to go very far, but you'll feel a really nice stretch between the hip, outer hip, and the knee, which is IT band. There's a couple of muscles there, like the TFL, tensor fascia lata, which get quite tight from our sitting lifestyles. Turn the right heel down now and lift the right arm up, lean a little bit back. Keep pressing the floor away with everything that touches down. One more inhale. Exhale, right hand down. Take the left knee to your chest and then swivel it around straight into wild thing. Actually not straight, because I like to lower down just to get my bearings, and then bridge up. Everything lifts away from the floor. Left hand reaches up and over, or left hand behind the left head, I was going to say. Yeah, sure. The left head. That's correct. And then undo it. Slowly coming out. What a delicious stretch. We're just trying out some poses and see how the body reacts. Some poses we don't do every day. And turn around again. Step the right foot forward and step it outside your right hand. So a little bit wider. Keep that. Walk the hands a bit to the left. So on the diagonal. And then press the floor down with your hands and lower the chest a little bit, any amount. Be quite strong to that back leg and both feet, of course. And enjoy the nice side bend in the right side of the rib cage. You'll feel that. And then walk back to the center. Wiggle the right foot to the middle of the mat. And with both hands on both sides of that foot, open the right knee to the right. You can lower that back knee down to have some more support. So it's kind of pigeon pose, but I've modified it to have way more engagement and strength than the normal pigeon, where sometimes we just flop down and nothing much happens. Which is great just before Shavasana if you want to relax, or before you go to bed. But sometimes if you want to build more mobility in the hip, you're going to have to be a little bit more active like this. And what I actually like to do is to noodle around a bit. Turn the torso left and right. You can shift a little bit forward, a little bit back. And actually what I'm trying to do is find some sticky corners that give me the feeling I haven't spent a lot of time in that range or in that position of the torso related to that hip. And I'm just poking around a little bit there, but in the nicest way possible, so without forcing anything. And then come back up. Move the right foot more into a normal low lunge, so right foot, left knee about hip distance apart. Lift up
the hands to your front knee. Strong legs, so I'm pushing the back toes down. I'm going to give a couple of options. This is the first option, to just stay here but keep it strong. So pushing down, pulling the legs towards each other. That's a good start. If you want to add something, then you can lift the left foot off the mat. Amazing to build left hamstring strength here. If you want to add more, then maybe you can hold that left foot in the left hand, maybe hold it in both hands. And then instead of pointing the foot, I like to flex it actually. So I've got this nice hand hold for both hands in the front of that ankle. And I'm pressing the foot into the hands, allowing the hips to slide forward and down. At the same time, I'm lifting the chest, rolling the shoulders back. It's a bit of an unusual version of the standard quad stretch. And then undo it. Try to lower that back foot slowly. And then step back to down dog. Take a moment. And then step left foot outside the left hand. Right knee stays up, unless if you need more support, then of course you can lower it down. Walk the hands on the diagonal over to the right. And then as you push the floor down with your hands, lower the chest till wherever it goes, until it stops. And then just find that balance again between being quite active, the legs, the hands pushing down, and actually quite relaxed in the parts that we're asking here to open up. And the breath is going to play a big part here. If you can manage to slow the breath down, make it a bit more smooth, then it's going to send a signal to the whole body that it can relax here. Walk the hands back. Now we'll do modified pigeon pose. Wiggle the left foot in the middle of the mat under your face. Hands on either side. Open the left knee to the left. I like to lower the back knee down so it's not too unstable. And then just explore a little bit. You might want to be still and just observe the sensations. But my favorite is to do little motions of the spine, little side bend, little twist. Doesn't have to be much, but you're bound to find some corners that have not been visited a lot in your movement practice. And that are probably going to get your attention. So instead of staying away from these parts, we are getting into them. We're just touching on them lightly, with a sense of kindness and patience, of course, not forcing anything. And then come back onto the left foot, wiggle it a bit to the left, come up, hands to the front knee. It's a good strong lunge. I'm pressing the back foot down and I'm pulling the legs underneath me so they seem to be moving towards the midline, which is a nice activation of the core. You could stay here, or as always, there's a couple of options. Maybe lifting the right foot. Great to build hamstring strength. Or for more of a quad stretch, you can hold the front of that right ankle or foot and maybe hold it in both hands if that's available. I like to flex the foot, the back foot, kick it into the hands and slide forward any amount. And then pull the shoulders a bit back and down the back as you broaden the whole front body, the front of right hip, the belly, the chest, the front of the shoulders. Really great prep before some backbends I will try out in a moment. And then gently release without shooting that right foot down. Step back, downward facing dog.
Nice, and walk to the front of the mat. And it's a standing split. We're going to lift the right leg high. Right leg as high as it goes, probably not as high as you want it to go, but that's a different matter. Push the left foot down, lift the right leg any amount, best as you can. Then bend the right knee, lean the right hip a little bit back. You can stay here, you can stop at any point with these poses. I'm going to need to turn forward actually. And then I'm reaching up with the left hand and see if I can find that right foot somewhere there. You may not be able to reach it, in which case just ignore the rest, just have your hands down instead. But if you're holding that right foot, is it the right foot? Yeah, it is the right foot. Then you can try to start bending the left knee. Do a little squat here with the right knee behind the left calf, and then still holding the foot, start to kick your foot into the hands and stretch it off to the left side. I'm starting to get confused with all these directions here. So this is called baby grasshopper. I'm sure ancient yogis did this all the time. No, I'm sure this didn't exist. But this is quite a tough arm balance. That's usually done balancing on the hands only, which is modified so it becomes a bit more accessible. If you want an extra challenge, then get back to standing split, holding that foot, and then place your feet down, hang down for a moment. So we've done some nice hip opening. Now we're just playing with this mobility, with this range that we may have found or opened up. Or maybe not fully yet, but it's all a process of discovery. Nothing happens in a single session. I mean, you might feel a little bit better in a single session, but most of this is a work over many hours of practice, many years. Good. Standing split, left leg high. Explore it for a moment, folding down with the spine, with the head, stretching the left leg up. Wherever it goes, it's fine. And then bend the left knee, lean the left hip a little bit back. You could stop at any point. You can even just rest down for a moment. If you want to do watch asana, that means just watching other people doing yoga, then that's fine. Maybe right hand reaches back, and if you can, hold the left foot. You can hold here, just folding forward. Or right knee starts to bend. I'm squatting down low. And then maybe still holding the foot. I need to hold it more on the outside of the foot as I'm coming lower, bending right knee more. Lowering the hips till they're parallel to the ground with that left leg. And then lean the chest forward and smile for the picture. You know, for Instagram, you only need to hold it for a second, really. And you're going to get all these likes. It's going to be amazing. And then maybe, if you feel energetic, lift back up, holding the foot still, and then release your foot back to planet Earth. Well done. Nice. Let's lie on our belly. We've done some nice work to prepare for back bends, and I just want to take a moment to use it and explore what our back bends are feeling like. And I will end with some strong forward bends as well. So next back bend is from lying on the belly. I'm going to lift or bend the left knee so that the foot is up. Flex your foot so you got a little platform on the left foot, and then lift the right leg, the right knee or something, and place it on the sole of the left foot. I like to reach hands back or arms back, and then just relax in this shape. It's quite a supported back bend, but quite a deep one. So if your lower back is killing you, then please come out and do locust pose or cobra or sphinx or one of those poses instead. And then slowly undo it Turn your head to one side and take a few moments. Sometimes our breath rate goes up in some of these poses that are not familiar, we don't know them, and they might seem a little bit stressful at first, especially if we feel like we're not quite ready to do the pose. So make good decisions, adapt, or even skip something where you need to. And don't get too attached to just the physical element alone. There's a lot more to discover. Then bend the right knee. Flex the right foot and lift the left leg up and place it somewhere on that right foot so it's quite supported. If you have a little bit less range, you might need to place the foot more around your shin so it's not so high. That's okay. And then relax. Let the spine just sort of hammock in the shape. Take a few breaths. And then slowly release that. Turn your head to the second side. And unwind for a moment. Just take a few breaths. And then slowly lift back up. I'm going to show you what we're going to do next. I'd like you to look first and not start to do it with me and then sort of crank your neck and looking later, because the pose we're going to do next with the shoulder stand and plow pose variations are great poses, but they're not great if you're going to start turning your neck and looking to the side. So I want your neck to be neutral, looking up at the ceiling in the pose. So if you need to pause the video or rewind or something, then that's fine, or just have a look quickly. We're going to be doing a couple of poses, starting with plow pose. So I'm just swinging the lower back up. I'm holding the lower back just in case I need some support. This might be it. Maybe some of you might be able to lower the knees onto your forehead. You can stay here, keep the back support, and then some of you might be able to straighten the legs with the toes down, which is one of the versions of plow. In that case, you can release your back support and maybe stretch the arms out, like we sometimes do in bridge. And there's two variations we'll do. The anchor is legs wide and arms up. And then the other one is Karnapidasana, which is the knee to ear pressure pose. I'm dropping my knees next to the ears and wrapping the arms around the thighs, squeezing everything into a tight little ball. Okay, so I showed you quickly. Now we'll do it together with a bit more time. I'll again do it with you, but if you're doing the poses, then rather focus on your own version of the pose. Good. So here we are. Lie down on your back. Start to press your hands down next to the hips and lift your hips up off the mat. So you're rolling up. Maybe nothing's touching your forehead or the floor. That's totally fine. Just support your lower back with the hands. All 10 fingers facing up. So it's a nice rounded shape, almost like child's pose, but we're on our neck and shoulders instead. Maybe the knees can rest on the forehead. Keep the breath as soft as possible. I know it's a bit constricted in the front, but do your best. And then maybe see if the toes if the legs can straighten a bit, maybe the toes touch down. If they don't touch down or your knees can't straighten, then keep supporting the lower back. This is quite important. If your toes are down, then you can clasp the hands and reach them away from the lower back. Then for anchor pose, we're opening the legs wide. If your hands are crossed, you can undo that and start bringing the hands together in prayer position, lifting the hands straight up in between the legs, straight up to the ceiling. Another breath or so. You don't need to hold these for too long. Lower the hands, bring the legs closer together. Now bend your knees any amount, and maybe the knees start to go on the side of the head. In that case, you could squeeze them onto your ears and wrap the hands around your thighs. Take a moment here. This is a quite an extreme forward fold. And then slowly release the hands down and really slowly start to roll out. Use your abdominals to not flop down at once, to place and unroll the spine one vertebra at a time, and place your feet down. Take a moment in constructive rest pose, which is the feet a bit wider, and you can drop the knees into the center and take a few breaths here. Relaxing the lower back onto the mat. And feeling all the muscles around the hips, the front, the side, the back, the inside, to unwind. And then slowly start to prop yourself up onto your elbows. Straighten the legs. I actually like to slide the hands underneath my buttocks here with the palms facing down. So you're actually sitting on the hands and you're up on the elbows. So we're preparing for fish pose, Matsyasana. Really nice back bend, which we don't often practice in modern yoga classes. So I wanted to revisit it and practice. So here it works like this. I'm lifting the chest up, arching the back, lift, 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 lift until I can't go further. Then you can start to lean the head back and maybe slide the hips over the hands just enough until the head lightly touches down. There's not much weight in the head at all, just lightly touching. And here I can really breathe into the rib cage, into the chest, into the belly, because there's so much space in this pose. We'll do 3 more deep breaths together. Inhale, fill up the chest all the way down into your belly, into the hips. Open your mouth, sigh the breath out. 2 more. Inhale all the way down. Deep breath and fill up a bit extra with more air. Now this time stick your tongue out, lion's breath. 1 more. Slow inhale, take your time. Fill up, fill up, fill up, fill up more. Lion's breath, let it go. Slowly lift the head to look up towards the toes. Start to remove your elbow support and just lie down. I always love this moment coming out of fish pose, where you just seem to be like touching the ground a little bit more fully. It feels like the body can rest down with more ease. Maybe the breath is flowing a bit easier or smoother. Maybe you're finding yourself in just a naturally relaxed, connected state, which is really what yoga is. Yoga is not a bunch of postures, but it's this connection
the state of union, we call it. So see if you can naturally drift off in your Shavasana, and I mean drift off as in the body relaxes and the mind stays quite clear and focused, but in a very relaxed way. Not searching for the next thing, not rushing anywhere else, not wanting to be in a different place. Just okay here. What we're learning here is that yoga is not something you do for an hour a day or a few hours a week. It is a state that we are in. You are in yoga. You can do this as you wake up, as you drive, as you work, as you take care of kids, as you interact with family and friends. In everything you do, that is the state of yoga. So it becomes more about who we are than about what we do. Slowly start to deepen your breath without disturbing this feeling of peaceful connection that we have not created, we have uncovered it. It was already there, but a little bit buried under other stuff. You can move your hands and move your feet. And then bend your knees, roll over onto one side. Traditionally, we choose the right side because then the heart is at the bottom, but sometimes you might feel like rolling to the left, which is fine. And then push up into sitting. We've got 1 minute left, so just come to a comfortable seat. Just rest in this naturally meditative state for another moment. There's nothing you need to do. You just sit here and watch. Watching the breath flow in and out. Watching your thoughts come and go. And not hanging on to any particular sensation or thought or sound that comes around. And then you can start to blink your eyes open when you feel ready. Place your hands together at the heart. Touch your hands to your forehead, to your heart center. And bow to yourself on your mat. Thank you so much for practicing with me this morning. Namaste, everybody. Let me know how it went. I hope you enjoyed doing a bit of unusual, uncommon yoga poses and transitions. And I hope to see you here again soon. Namaste.